Hello again, guys. This is Jason from TrilliumWest, and this is going to be part 4 of me diving into the TrilliumWest Quarterly Report for Q4 2020. So, how do we track this thing down? TrilliumWest.com, go to Knowledge, Market Data and Analysis, click that button, here we are, and then just dive deeper. Download the Quarterly for Q4 Regional Report. There we go. So, we're diving into the townships. They are always an interesting conversation. And what you're going to get here, I've clicked down to the townships here, and we're going to go over the basic summary page. We're not going to go in depth on all of the townships here. We're not going to jump into Center Wellington, Guelph, Aramosa, North Dumfries. I'm just going to go over the basics here. But if you want to take a look at this report, take the steps I just showed you through the TrilliumWest.com website, or if you're watching this on YouTube, I'll have the quarterly report linked down below in the description. So take a look and see what you think. Now, Q4 2020 has been a tale for the townships. They have been all over, and it was really just a matter of time. And they saw a quick spike earlier in March, and it's spread on. I think the conversation here of, look, we all dream of it. The life of living in the country setting, for most urban dwellers, people living in the city here, it's a later in life dream that you can only hope to afford. In 2020, though, we saw such a significant spike in sale prices and home valuations that a lot of people said, well, heck, if someone's going to pay me 600 grand for my townhouse in Dune, then yeah, I'll go put that money. All of a sudden, I have a ton more equity than I thought I did. I'm going to try to move this clock up. And we've been seeing that for the last, whatever it's been now, 10 months, 9 months. But it did peak quite a bit in last quarter. We saw a big push in some areas in particular. So what we're going to go over here is when we look here at the median detached sale price across the townships, we're looking at about 20%. Not bad, not bad. Not the highest, not the lowest, right in the sweet spot. But what is the most concerning part of this is that we're on a 20% increase in price this year, but this is the story of every area around that's touched on in this report. Supply, and really it's every area in Southern Ontario right now. It's a supply issue. So the number of new sales is up 22%. So that means that people are just buying. Everything's selling. Everybody wants to buy something. Number of deals is through the roof. But how is that happening when only 0.5, there's only a 0.5 decrease in the new inventory year over year. So that is part of what's driving up this new listing ratio. This is an interesting stat to go back and take a look at past quarterly reports as well, especially for the townships. They were always kind of lingering a little bit behind 0.7 when the city's at 0.9, but not anymore. For every property that hits, the way this quarter played out, for every property that hits, one goes. And so this, again, is going to lead to quarter one where people are seeing, okay, well, now what? State of emergency. I just did a video on that. We've got, who knows how long that's going to last. So how much do I want to push and start making moves going to 21 here to make sure that my kids have a place to run around and play this summer? If you were trapped inside on a small lot last year, you're going to have a lot of emphasis on trying to get into space. How do I get away from some of the hustle and bustle that's coming to the Waterloo and Wellington regions, right? So we're going to see a continued push there, but I think a lot of these people have already beat most of us to the punch in terms of taking that approach and locking these things in. We're seeing one of the more interesting stats for me on this page is right here, looking at the decrease in the days on market, the median days on market. What we're looking at here is a 15-day increase, down from 24 days to 9, a little over a week. So we're dealing with rural properties that are selling in 9 days. And again, and I talked about this in, I think it was the Guelph video maybe a little bit, that the median days on market, if that is dropping, that the strongest reflection of that is a shakeup of conditions and a shake off of conditions, which is a little bit more risky when you're dealing with rural properties, when you're dealing with, maybe you're not dealing with municipal water and sewer. So it's a little bit concerning that buyers are jumping in with 2 feet here and maybe doing inspections in advance, eating that cost in order to make sure that they can go in with a firm deal, doing water tests, things like that on the property before ever offering, paying to get that done and being diligent enough to do that. And we're also seeing a growth in terms of newer builds in the townships, which is worth noting as well. We're seeing a lot of newer build projects close out there now. And when you're dealing with townships that have such a small sample size and population size, you are dealing with new homes are coming. They're being sold by builders by the dozens sometimes. And then that is a very big difference that will make up a bigger chunk of a township than an equal or even a greater number would in Kitchener when it comes to that. So that's also, I think, a little bit of a part of this. We don't have the real breakout details on that, but I suspect that that's also part of it. Now, some of the big things I'd like to highlight here. A year-over-year increase in the Puslinch sale-to-list ratio, which is right now 0.99 for the townships. It's up 124% in Puslinch right now, that ratio. So when you take a look at this quarterly report and download it from the link in my description or from the TrilliumWest website, take a look at Puslinch. It's an interesting one. And we're also seeing a year-over-year increase in the Center Wellington median sale price that's coming right up on $700,000, which is pretty wild. It's seen a really, really big jump in that sale price, 20% this year. And so that is going to be an interesting one to watch moving forward as well. Now, like I've been doing with these other cities as well, or other cities as well in the last couple of videos, is it's always interesting to look at the ones that maybe didn't perform that well last quarter. And what we're looking at here is North Dumfries is actually one of the ones that slid down a little bit. 6% decrease in North Dumfries. So that's going to be one to keep an eye on over the next little while. And those are some good numbers to dive into with this report as well. It's an interesting one to look at for sure. Now, when we're looking at, I'm going to do a little one of these and scroll down. When we're looking at this number, when you look at this at first glance, I couldn't help but stare at it for a second. 267% decrease, but like I discussed, that's in a reduction in days on market, which is the one I touched on a little bit before across the townships. We are seeing buyers jump. They are looking forward to getting out of the city, getting into rural properties, getting into a little more land, a little bit quieter areas and whatnot. It is a big jump to see those days on market drop. And all you can really do is hoping that those people all did their due diligence. And I know not having inspections is something that everybody is dealing with right now across Southern Ontario, but there are a lot bigger ticket items in some of these more rural towns as well. So we want to keep an eye on that. So the townships are always an interesting one to keep an eye on. Just numbers wise, I work with fewer people in the townships than I do Kitchener-Waterloo, just based on population and where people want to be. But it is still, they're really cool numbers to be looking at. So thank you so much. If you tuned into all 4 parts of this quarterly report breakdown, definitely appreciate you doing that. It's always fun for me to look at these numbers. I love going over some of this stuff, and I'd appreciate it if you have thoughts on how I presented this stuff, more details you'd like to know about, or anything else you'd like for me to go over with these reports. I'm definitely open to doing that. So just drop me a comment, shoot me a text, whatever you want to do. And I'd love to chat more about this stuff. I really want to get this information over to people, and I'm trying to find the best way to do it. Usually through my newsletter, it gets to 100 people, 200 people, something like that. But seeing it get out to more people, I think is very, very valuable. These are important details, especially in times where things are as inconsistent as we've seen. Thank you so much for tuning in again. Talk to you soon.